Welcome to our 2024 horse-drawn potato harvest. This is the potato digger we're going to use for this year's potato harvest. So this is called a Bamford's Triumph. The research that we've done suggests it's circa 1920s, made by Bamford's in Uttoxeter in the UK. So safe bet to say it's about a 100-year-old machine. So this one was picked up out of a shed in South Gippsland in Victoria. Been well cared for, considering that it hasn't been used in decades. Been shedded rather than left outside, which is really great. Most people only get to see these machines when they're all seized up, so just have a bit of a closer look at how this works. Potatoes are planted at ground level and then hilled on top of that, so all the potatoes are growing in the hill. So this plough part here drops down by this lever and sets the depth to get below at the bottom of that hill there. When it's in gear, it's a ground driven machine, so these wheels turn. The horses are providing the forward momentum. These wheels obviously turn, these grab into the soil, turns the chain, which is all linked up to here. So with all of this lowered down, your plough's in under your hill, this spins, well, it goes this way actually, and flicks the potatoes out, and then you've got your one on this side here, flicking them out to the side. So all the potatoes should end up on the ground next to the hill, and by all reports it's a pretty efficient machine, so it'll be really interesting to see how it goes. We grew 3 varieties of potatoes this year: Sebago, Red Lady and Kinnebeck. We chose these varieties for their reputation as all-rounders, good for mash, baking, roast and frying. We cleaned up each of our rows first by scarifying each side of our 3 rows of potatoes, and we removed the dead tops just to stop any unnecessary resistance for our digger. All the dried part of the potato plant was then taken to our compost pile and placed in layers as part of our composting process. In training our horses, we put a lot of emphasis on making sure what we ask them to do is achievable for them. This is the very first time these horses have been hooked to this implement. That means it's a new feel, new sounds, and new weight for them. The horses had shown that they were fine pulling this implement on the grass and the more compacted soil, but the softer soil added quite a bit more resistance. The horses were indicating that it was heavier than they were comfortable with. So Scotty made the call to remove his weight from the load and try it working from the ground. This worked really well, particularly on that first pass when you've got a little bit of resistance with the digger on any weeds that have made their way onto the rows. This was a really fun and quite spectacular machine to watch in motion, with potatoes just flying everywhere. So with one pass of this machine, the vast majority of the row is now on the ground, ready to be collected by hand. collection process didn't take as long as you might think. We took it in turns, with one person collecting and the other person in control of the horses, and we had this row collected in about 15 minutes. This lot was then taken back to the shed and weighed in at approximately 120 kilos. We then did a second pass, which uncovered another 20 kilos. With 85% being harvested in one pass, the Bamford's Triumph potato digger is definitely the most efficient horse-drawn method we've used to harvest potatoes so far. We then repeated the process for our delicious Red Lady variety. Adding another 100 plus kilos to our harvest.
Good boy. Walk on now. Walk on now.
The boys had established a really good feel for the machine now and what was expected of them, and we're working really nicely for our final row of Kennebec variety.
Walk on, Tom. Walk on, Tom. Good boy, walking on. Good boy, walk on. Walk on. Good boy, walking on.
Another collection and another 100 plus kilos of Kennebec variety. We finished up by passing over with the ride-on scarifier. This helped to even out the ground where the potato hills once were, so that we can get the space ready for the next crop. And a final collection from what was unearthed by the scarifier. Watch this space for farm gate sales coming soon.